The metaverse. Okay, you hear the buzz, the hype. And let's be honest, sometimes it's pretty confusing.
Right. A lot of noise.
Exactly. But if you peel back those layers, what you start to see is this really profound practical shift. It's happening in how we connect, how we learn, and maybe most importantly, how we actually do business.
Mm-hmm. And those human implications, they often get kind of lost in all the tech talk, don't they?
They really do.
Oh.
So today, let's actually unpack this properly.
Okay.
We're diving deep into this, well, remarkable and super practical guide. It just cuts right through all that noise. It's called the Metaverse Business Blueprint: How to Build, Operate, and Grow in Spatial Commerce.
Ah, okay.
And this isn't just, another abstract book about spatial computing. What makes it genuinely different, I think, is who wrote it. It's by Mitch Jackson, Esquire.
Oh, an attorney. Interesting.
Yeah, a highly respected attorney.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just get the law. He seems to profoundly grasp how AI and these new technologies are reshaping, well, everything. How we do business and, fundamentally, how we interact as human beings.
That's a critical perspective.
It really is. And here's the kicker for you listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely free.
Yep.
Available right now, 247. Just go to mitchjackson.xyz.
Wow, free's good. And what's truly fascinating here, based on what I've seen, is that this book isn't some academic theory piece.
No, not
It feels really grounded, actionable for things happening today. Mitch Jackson, he starts by painting these incredibly vivid pictures. Imagine a grandmother in Iowa.
Okay.
And she's seamlessly walking through a virtual Tokyo campus right alongside her granddaughter, who's thousands of miles away.
That's powerful visualization.
Or think about a surgeon in Boston guiding complex procedures for doctors way over in Bangladesh. They're sharing this virtual operating room, they're right there together.
Incredible. Or
even a team, say, in Lagos, Nigeria, finalizing a big deal with partners in London, all inside this immersive 3D space. This isn't, science fiction anymore.
Right, it's happening now.
It's real world stuff. And then when you layer in artificial intelligence, well, distance just kind of vanishes, doesn't it? Language barriers start to fade.
Yeah.
And that connection, it feels immediate, personal, and really quite real. For me, the book's most compelling insight is how this isn't just tech for tech's sake. It's actually this powerful force making empathy scalable. Shared presence is becoming our new normal.
Scalable empathy. I like that. That's a powerful concept. And that's exactly why this blueprint, this book, is really for you, the listener, if you're a builder, a visionary.
Right.
Maybe you're a business owner looking to innovate, or a coach trying to expand your reach, an artist figuring out how to monetize your creations, or, an entrepreneur planning your next big thing.
Yeah, lots of possibilities.
This guide is designed to sort of future-proof your ambition.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be a hardcore gamer.
Yeah.
You don't need to know a single line of code.
That lowers the barrier to entry significantly.
It does. And you definitely don't need a headset permanently strapped to your face. What you do need, though, is vision and the readiness to act.
The willingness to jump in.
Exactly. The book meticulously walks you through everything, from choosing the right platforms, protecting your intellectual property, which is huge,
Crucial.
navigating smart contracts, resolving digital disputes, scaling your business with AI,
Wow, it covers a lot.
and just making sure you're legally and financially sustainable. Across borders, time zones, even different digital realities. It's practical, it's actionable, it feels like it's built to be used tomorrow.
Okay, sounds comprehensive.
So let's really unpack that foundational step Mitch Jackson emphasizes first, establishing your business structure.
Right, the bedrock.
Yeah. He makes this really compelling case that building in spatial commerce, it's not just about designing a cool avatar or, a fancy virtual store.
There's more to it than the visuals.
Way more. It's about laying down solid infrastructure, defining clear ownership, and really understanding jurisdiction. As he puts it, it all gets very real when it comes to money, taxes, and lawsuits.
No kidding. And the book jumps right into those critical legal things, like take the basic choice, LLC or corporation.
Okay, yeah. LLC, limited liability company.
Exactly. That's often more flexible, popular with creators or maybe leaner teams.
Yeah.
Usually simpler pass-through taxation, meaning profits are taxed once at the individual level.
Right, I see.
Versus a C corporation. Now, a C corp is generally better if you're aiming to attract big institutional investors, or you want to issue equity tokens or set up complex licensing deals.
But more complex.
Yeah, it often involves what they call double taxation. The company's profits get taxed, and then dividends paid to shareholders get taxed again.
Ah,
So
love
the
that.
key takeaway, as the book really explains it, is there's no single best choice. It totally hinges on your growth plans and, frankly, how much administrative headache you're willing to manage.
Makes sense. It depends on the goal.
Precisely. And then there's what Mitch Jackson calls the tax trap. This is where that whole borderless feel of the metaverse gets really, really slippery.
Oh, how so?
Well, you might be selling a digital asset, right? Thinking it's this global, maybe untaxed transaction. But the book forces you to think, okay, what if your customer's in Germany?
Right.
Your digital HQ is maybe set up nominally in Wyoming for legal reasons, but your actual servers are hosted in Singapore.
Okay, complex setup.
Very. And suddenly, you could potentially owe U.S. income tax plus EU VAT, that's value-added tax in Europe,
Right. Yeah.
and maybe even local sales tax where the customer is potentially all at the same time.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. The insight here is that your digital footprints create physical tax obligations in places you might never set foot in. The book just hammers home the absolute need for accountants who get this stuff.
Specialists.
Specialists who understand these multi-jurisdictional complexities when avatars transact across borders, wallets, and currencies. You can't just assume digital means tax-free. You almost have to assume the opposite and plan really carefully.
That sounds like an absolute minefield if you're not prepared.
Yeah.
So how does the book guide you on where you should strategically live digitally to maybe minimize some of that chaos?
Yeah, this raises an incredibly important question. And Mitch Jackson explores various digital HQ options. Each one has its own perks and, trade-offs.
Like what?
For instance, he points out the U.S. has strong legal frameworks, especially for funding and IP protection, but it also comes with significant compliance burdens.
Okay.
Then you've got places like the Cayman Islands. They boast no corporate tax, streamlined processes for issuing tokens.
Ah, interesting.
And then there's Estonia with its e-residency program, which is specifically designed for borderless online businesses.
Right, I've heard about that.
So the book's core advice here is ask yourself the fundamental questions first. Who are my target customers? Who are my potential investors? My contributors?
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, what's my long-term vision? What do I want this business to actually look like in, say, 5 years?
Plan ahead.
Definitely. Because, and this is a critical warning in the book, trying to move your legal jurisdiction once you're established, it's described as trying to transplant a massive 100-foot tree.
Oof. Doesn't sound easy.
Painful, expensive, and your business might not even survive the move. So choose wisely up front.
Got it. Choose wisely. Okay, and what about ownership, especially in this new world of DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations? That seems to really challenge traditional top-down control.
It absolutely does. The metaverse environment inherently pushes towards these decentralized models, and DAOs are kind of at the forefront. They offer community-led governance.
How does that work exactly?
Well, often decision-making power is tied to holding specific tokens, and actions get executed automatically by smart contracts based on votes. On the surface, it sounds like, pure democracy, pure freedom.
Yeah, sounds appealing.
But Mitch Jackson points out it can actually devolve into chaos pretty quickly if it's not structured very carefully. The big challenge is that most countries just don't have clear legal standards for DAOs yet.
Well, so they exist in a gray area, legally.
Kind of, which is why many pioneering projects are using a hybrid approach. They might incorporate as a traditional LLC or maybe a nonprofit foundation, but still operate with DAO-like governance internally.
Ah, a legal wrapper.
Exactly. Gives them a legal structure, some liability protection. But the book highlights the real risk of gridlock if the community voting and governance model isn't designed for efficiency and clear decision-making.
Right, could get stuck.
Totally. And when it comes to who owns what, well, the book makes it super clear. Equity isn't just stock anymore.
Okay, so what is it then?
It now includes things like fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and even the rights embedded in smart contracts. Every single piece needs a crystal clear definition.
How do you define it?
Both on paper, in traditional legal docs, and on-chain, actually written into the code itself. If you're raising money through a token sale, for example, you have to understand if that token could be seen as a security.
Because regulators are watching.
Oh, yeah. The SEC, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, they are definitely paying attention, and they are not shy about enforcement actions. And for contributors getting equity, you need proper vesting schedules, clear IP clauses, exit terms,
Right.
all nailed down.
Because?
Because, as the book starkly reminds us, everything is recorded forever. The blockchain is immutable, What goes on there stays there.
Wow. Okay, so setting up this legal bedrock, it's not just about avoiding lawsuits down the line.
No, not at all.
It's genuinely about creating that solid launchpad for growth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Building readiness, giving your business a stable foundation so it can actually thrive in this new space. It's proactive preparation.
Exactly right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the book does a fantastic job debunking that myth that, oh, buying assets in the metaverse is somehow easier or less risky than in the physical world.
Right, like it's just clicks.
Yeah, it directly warns against what it calls gambling with pixels and prayer. You absolutely need to approach acquisitions with serious due diligence.
Okay, so what specific things does Mitch Jackson say you need to vet? What should you look out for?
Well, for instance, vetting the platform itself, it goes way beyond just does it look cool or are the graphics good?
Right, deeper than aesthetics.
Much deeper. You need to dig into who actually owns this platform? Where is it legally based? What kind of legal protections do users actually have?
Important questions.
And critically, what happens if the platform just shuts down or makes a massive policy change overnight? Is there a real identifiable team behind it, or is it just a bunch of anonymous handles?
Yeah, accountability matters.
Immensely, as the book powerfully puts it. If the digital ground underneath your virtual property is unstable, it doesn't matter how great your virtual building looks, it could just collapse.
Good analogy. What about the land itself, digital real estate?
That's another crucial distinction the book makes. In most cases, you're not buying ownership like a physical deed. You're acquiring a license to use a specific parcel of virtual space.
A license, not true ownership.
Often, yes. So the book emphasizes you must meticulously check the underlying smart contracts and the platform's terms of use. What rights do you actually have? Can you resell it? Can you build on it? Can you take your assets elsewhere if you leave?
Portability, yeah.
And with NFTs, digital artifacts, other assets, you absolutely need to verify the title, the underlying IP rights, and the provenance, the history of ownership before you spend significant money.
So just because it exists doesn't mean the seller owns it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just because an NFT is minted on a blockchain doesn't automatically mean the person selling it has the legal right to do so. The book issues a blunt but vital warning here. The metaverse has no sheriff. You have to be your own investigator.
Wow, okay. Buyer beware. Really amplified.
Very much so. And that leads right into the whole complexity of smart contracts. The book describes them well as code that writes the rules.
Right, automated agreements.
But it also reveals this crucial technical trap. Some contracts are coded with subtle backdoors or trapdoors, meaning the original creator might still have a way to pull back the asset you thought you bought, or they could quietly embed escalating royalty fees that you only discover way later.
Sneaky?
Can be. The technical takeaway is you must audit that code or get an expert you trust to audit it for you. Because once that transaction hits the blockchain and gets confirmed, it's irreversible.
Permanent.
Totally permanent, which just makes that pre-purchase due diligence absolutely paramount. You can't undo it later.
Which brings us squarely to spotting fraud in this new Wild West, right? Does the book offer tips there?
Oh, yeah. It gives an incredibly practical checklist of common red flags. Things like anonymous founders who vanish after the initial hype dies down.
Rug pulls.
Exactly. Unverified claims about partnerships or crazy valuations. Sketchy Discord channels that are just full of hype and poorly moderated. White papers that are basically just buzzwords with no real substance or technical detail.
All sounds familiar, unfortunately.
Right. Mitch Jackson's advice is simple but profound. Trust your gut, use your common sense. As he puts it so brilliantly, you wouldn't buy a brick-and-mortar store from a guy in a parking lot. Don't buy a virtual one that way either.
Good point. So due diligence isn't just about avoiding scams.
No, it's more than that. It's a serious business tool. It actually signals to the market, to potential partners, to customers, that you're serious, that you're here to build something real, something lasting and legitimate.
Now, here's where, for me, the book gets really interesting. Because it digs deep into the human side of doing business in the metaverse. It's not just the tech specs. It's about how AI and these immersive environments are fundamentally changing how we do business and connect as human beings. That phrase from the intro really sticks.
Absolutely. And take avatar design, for example. That's covered in Chapter 5. Mitch Jackson makes this great point. Your avatar isn't just a digital costume, you know.
Right, not just for fun.
It's your brand's handshake. It's your smile. It's often your frontline customer service rep. It projects presence. It builds trust. It establishes credibility.
Oh, so?
He shares this fantastic personal anecdote. He apparently has like 5 to 7 different avatars.
Really? Wow.
Tailored to different occasions, like a professional lawyer suit avatar for serious business meetings,
Okay, makes sense.
and maybe a more casual jeans and t-shirt avatar for just hanging out with friends online. It vividly shows the importance of intentional design, consistency, aligning it with your brand or the context.
That's fascinating. Different digital wardrobes.
Exactly. And for teams, the book talks about the need for maybe virtual uniforms, or at least consistent voice and visual identity, and even the legal side protecting your avatar's IP.
Right, if it becomes iconic.
Yeah. Ultimately, avatars aren't just pixels. They're powerful emotional signals. They really shape how people perceive you and your business.
That makes so much sense. It's literally embodying your brand in that digital space. And the book tackles the tricky ethical stuff too, right?
It doesn't shy away from that.
Not at all. That's actually one of its strongest points, I think.
What?
Chapter 11, it's on consumer protection, accessibility, and ethical standards. It really hammers home this focus on building trust and taking responsibility.
How does that apply in the metaverse?
Well, Mitch Jackson argues that when you build in the metaverse, you essentially become the architect of equity. You're designing the experience. So the book gets into how existing laws like the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act,
And Section 508 compliance, how those translate virtually. That means thinking about practical things. Can you provide captioned voice chat for people with hearing impairments?
Oh, right.
Can you offer alt text for 3D objects so screen readers can describe them? Is there a keyboard navigation for VR experiences for users who can't use motion controllers?
Accessibility in 3D. Wow.
Yeah. And it also warns strongly against dark patterns. Those are manipulative design tricks meant to get users to do things they might not want to do.
Like making it impossible to cancel a subscription.
Exactly that kind of thing. And the book stresses the absolute need for clear disclosure in ads promotions, reminding us that, quote, the FTC hasn't left the building just because the building is made of voxels.
Huh. Good line. The regulator's still watching.
They are. So ethical design is framed as the foundational blueprint, always asking who gets hurt here and intentionally building for inclusivity. The core message is powerful. Integrity travels faster than advertising.
Wow. So it's not just about ticking boxes for compliance. It's about genuine, proactive care for the user and fairness. How does that translate into like day-to-day communication, sales, community building in 3D?
Yeah, that's covered beautifully in Chapter 12. The book really emphasizes that the voice behind the avatar, the human element, is still a crucial trust builder.
Okay.
So in sales, for instance, the interaction should feel like guidance, not pressure. Using personalization, maybe with AI support, to really understand individual needs.
Right. Helpful selling.
And customer support. That's framed as a potential superpower, where the goal is always making people feel genuinely seen, heard, and valued in that virtual space.
How do you do that effectively?
Well, the book highlights speaking every customer's language, using real-time AI translation, offering multimodal options, chat, voice, maybe even immersive support experiences, and building real community, not just chasing follower counts or reach. That means consistently hosting engaging events, fostering active forums, having solid moderation for safety. The focus always should be on building lasting relationships, not just transactions.
It's crystal clear how these human-centric approaches, mixed with thoughtful design, are just fundamental to building a brand that actually resonates, that thrives in the metaverse. It's about being truly present, intentional.
Exactly. Which raises another important question, doesn't it? How do we actually use AI effectively here? Not just as a cool gimmick, but as genuinely tireless digital co-founders, assistants, and frontline reps that can help scale all this.
Yeah, how do we operationalize it smartly? The book has some incredibly practical, actionable guidance on this. Chapter 13 gets right into deploying AI avatars.
Okay, AI teammates.
Pretty much. These AI agents can act as seamless digital team members. They sales support, customer service, onboarding new users, even content moderation, working 24/7.
The scalability potential is huge there.
Massive. But, and this is crucial, Mitch Jackson also outlines the essential guardrails you need. He warns that AI agents can go rogue.
Uh-oh. Like Skynet.
Huh? No, not in a dramatic sci-fi way. More subtly. Like a chatbot confidently answering questions way outside its programming or giving confidently incorrect information.
Subtle errors, but still damaging.
Very, which highlights the absolute need for clear policies on exactly what these AIs can and can't say or do. Meticulous documentation of their training data, their parameters, rigorous testing. And critically, human oversight. Always.
And what about liability if an AI messes up?
That is paramount. The book states it unequivocally. If your AI avatar misrepresents a refund policy or promises a service you don't offer, your company is liable.
Wow, no ambiguity there.
None. It's a stark reminder. It means businesses have to proactively build strong indemnification language into their contracts with AI providers, that they need to continually update their own terms of use.
And tell people they're talking to an AI.
Yes. Importantly, include clear disclaimers to users about whether they're interacting with a human or an AI. Transparency isn't just, a nice to have. It's a critical legal and ethical must-do.
Got it. Transparency is key.
And it's not just about deploying AI in isolation. The book really hammers the need to tie these AI agents directly into your core business systems.
Integrate them properly.
Right. It stresses that AI is most effective, truly transformative, when it's seamlessly integrated with your CRM, your analytics platforms, your loyalty programs.
Why is that integration so important?
Because it allows the AI to act on real, live data. It empowers it to do smart things like offer personalized discounts in real time based on purchase history, or flag suspicious activity patterns. It turns the AI into a true operator within your business.
So it's not just answering questions, it's doing things based on data.
Exactly. But the book consistently loops back to the idea that AI is a tool. A powerful one, yes, but designed to empower human efforts, not replace them. It frees up humans to focus on what we do best: creating, connecting, leading the vision.
Using AI to augment human capability.
Precisely. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Our deep dive into Mitch Jackson's The Metaverse Business Blueprint. Well, it's shown us this is way more than just another tech book.
Definitely feels that way.
It's really an indispensable guide, offering this practical, legally grounded, and I think profoundly human-centric approach to actually building, operating, and growing successfully in spatial commerce. It genuinely feels like a shortcut to being well-informed and strategic in this space that's changing so fast.
Indeed. And that core message really resonates, doesn't it? That the metaverse isn't just about the technology itself or abstract ideas. It's about using innovation to make empathy scalable, to fundamentally shape the future of how we connect and how we do business, building with real foresight and purpose.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's serious about navigating this new frontier, about thriving in it, this book feels indispensable. And remember, the amazing part, it's completely free, available 24/7.
Can't beat that.
You really can't. You can grab your copy today just by heading over to mitchjackson.xyz. That's mitchjackson.xyz.
Simple enough.
So the final thought for you to mull over, now that you know there's a blueprint out there,
Yeah.
what vision are you ready to build in this evolving spatial commerce landscape?